Owning a retro handheld over the past few months has without a doubt changed the way that I play older titles for the better, and the Retroid Pocket 5 specifically features an incredible screen and great feeling controls that gives that new feeling to every game, like playing them for the first time. For years my setup has been just being able to play as many games as possible. My main machine is a PC and I play all of my games on that, but then I also have a PlayStation 5 as well as a Nintendo Switch in order to be able to play the exclusives on those platforms. And I've never really been a portable guy. Like my Switch, for example, obviously I can use that portable, but I've never really seen a use case for it. I think mainly it's got to do with me being so spoiled on the PC platform that when I go to something like a Switch, I feel super bad at paying 50 to 60 quid for a game just to run it at 720p 30 FPS. And this is where the Retroid Pocket 5 came in. I saw all of the reviews and thought it looked incredible, and so placed a pre-order about 4 months ago. And now that I've owned it for that long and had a ton of time to play with it, I think that owning a handheld like this is 100% worth it, and I'm going to tell you why. Before we get into that though, I need to thank the good friends over at Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. If you've been viewing my other videos, then you'll know Instant Gaming is a big sponsor on the channel. And it all stems from my own personal trust in the brand. I've been buying games on this platform since 2018, and besides their excellent deals, the reason that I choose them over other sites is the fact that they are not a marketplace. Every key provided here is digitally sourced by Instant Gaming themselves via their official suppliers, and that means that you never have to worry about a dodgy game key that does not work. For me, I also love the ability to pre-order a title on Instant Gaming, and then if the price drops before launch, Instant Gaming will actually give me the difference back to make sure I'm getting the best deal. So if you want to help out the channel while saving yourself some money on new and or old games, then head to the link down in the description, purchase anything, and you'll be directly supporting what we do here on Retro New. Thanks again Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the Retroid Pocket 5. The thing that makes this console incredible for me was the screen. This is a 5.5-inch AMOLED display that runs at 1080p with a refresh rate of 60Hz. Now the word 1080p might not seem crazy to today's standards, but the thing that counts here really is pixel density, and 1080p on this size screen looks crazy sharp. This, along with the vibrant colors, deep blacks, and brightness that you get from an AMOLED display, create this magical effect that a new pair of headphones do, where you go back and you play all of your favorite games just to see them in this new light. The second great thing here is the controls. The face buttons are nice and snappy feeling, analog sticks are smooth and fall back nicely, and the D-pad is clicky, which I really love over the others that feel kind of mushy. And lastly, the triggers are really satisfying as well, with no issues in my experience. This is in no way in the lower budget of devices, as it does run about $220 on their official site. But still, when I received it, I felt that I was getting way more than I paid for here. The screen is amazing, the controls amazing, and just overall, the build quality is just so nice. I should probably say that this is not a sponsored video, by the way. I just genuinely like this device. There are definitely some small downsides with the device though, like the sticks being on the same level. I have hands on the smaller side, so I didn't have discomfort when using these sticks, but I think someone with bigger hands might struggle a little bit. This really reminds me of the PlayStation 4, where your thumbs are kind of tilted inwards, and I don't know, it's just not natural at all. It's the same really with the DualSense controller as well. The sticks being on the same level just don't really work for me as well as the Xbox controllers do, where you have the right stick lower down to the left stick. Now of course there's only so much they can do with the ergonomics because the device is pretty small, but it's one of its most appealing parts. I chose this device over something like a Steam Deck or an Ally because for me personally, when I'm out or away from my PC, I want something that's super portable and small that I can play session type games. And what I mean by session games is stuff like SSX Tricky or racing games and such. Something where I can play a single race and then put it back in my bag, and that's exactly what this size of device offers. It also offers some incredible performance for its size. I was not sure what to expect, as again, I've never owned a device like this, but it's crazy how far that we've come that a device this small can play all of these retro games. To put it simply, everything PS2 and older runs amazing on this device. Sometimes for things like PS2 games, you do have to drop the resolution down to 720p, but this is more down to the emulator itself not being optimized for the RP5's Snapdragon chip. For most emulators though, you can use what's called turnip drivers. These override the default GPU driver. Now I don't know all the specifics, but what I do know is often this makes games run a whole lot smoother. You probably already know this from watching my channel, but I love tinkering stuff like this. I love playing games on this device, don't get me wrong, but what I also love is pretty much going through settings, setting up front ends, getting my ROM collection on SD cards, and just getting everything perfectly how I want it. And then also I love pushing the device even further, trying to run games that shouldn't really be running on it and trying to tinker them in order to get them working perfectly. And the journey of tinkering the device is where I discovered things like ESDE, which is a front end that makes all of your game collection look really nice. If you've never owned a handheld, then just think of this as something like Play Night or Launchbox that you would have on your main PC. The amazing thing about this is I can just click it, scroll through all of my games, and they're all categorized, they all have box art, they all have videos, and then I can just click any one that I want to play, and it will launch the emulator that I've told it to launch. And this brings me to the games that I've actually been playing and enjoying on this console. I found myself playing recent, less intensive games like Monster Hunter Generation Ultimate and Dead Cells. These were being emulated on a device that I do not want to name out of sheer fear that I'm going to lose my entire channel. Jokes aside though, I'm actually not going to risk showing you any certain console's emulation here, but it works surprisingly well. For consoles that I actually can talk about though, the PSP emulator PPSSPP was so fun to play around with. For many years I've put off exploring this console's backlog just because it feels so weird to play them on a big screen on my PC. Obviously I can just play them on original hardware, but at the moment in the UK for some reason PSPs are actually weirdly expensive at the moment. I've seen really cool stuff for PSPs like replacing the screen with an IPS panel and also obviously getting Homebrew installed, so if you want to see me pick up one of these and tinker it, then do let me know in the comments. Anyway, these games were obviously meant for a portable device, and the RP5 just so happens to be one, and it's a great way to discover titles that I've never experienced. Like the Little Big Planet game on PSP, I've never played this one past the first level, and playing that here was a flawless experience that brought back so many memories. Ratchet & Clank as well as Crazy Taxi were also two other ones that I played for nostalgia reasons. Ratchet & Clank was emulated on the PS2 emulator Never SX2, and then Crazy Taxi, if I remember correctly, was emulated through RetroArch on the Flycast Dreamcast emulator. And this kind of brings me to a big part of why I enjoyed this handheld so much. Rather than experiencing my childhood classics, what I've been doing a lot of is playing titles that I've been meaning to try for a long time, or entirely new ones that I've never heard about. I never really thought that this console was going to do this for me, but they have really opened a whole new world of games that I would never have played before on my PC. And I think that if you're on the fence and you're really into stuff like this, then I think they're well worth it. Another amazing use case that I've had for this is remote play. That technology has come an extremely long way to where my current setup of it with Apollo and Artemis let me load up Steam Big Picture mode on my main PC from my handheld and then play anything there with incredibly low latency. Since we aren't using any of the handheld's power, all we need for this is a really good screen and controls. And as we've explored, the RP5 delivers exactly that. So if I ever want to break from my desk, I have this option. The best thing about this one over the other versions is that it lets you set up a virtual display really easily. What this means is that on your main PC, it detects your handheld device as a second or third monitor. And how I have it set up at the moment is that when I click streaming on my handheld device, it shuts off my main monitor and my second monitor, meaning that I'm not wasting any extra power. If it isn't already clear, I'm super interested in this technology now since I've owned this device, and I think that I will eventually get something like a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally or whatever new things come out that's even better than those to give that size of handheld a try. To cap this off though, do you need a handheld if you already have a PC and or consoles? Of course not. But are they still worth it? 100%. Especially for those of you that love tinkering with the devices like this. But if you don't, if you have a handheld, you just have so many other ways to play amazing games. If you have a handheld, let me know anything cool about it that I've missed in this video. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts. We've barely scratched the surface of retro handhelds here, so if you want to see more of this kind of content, then do let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to see how far this rabbit hole really goes. Big shout out to all of the members on Patreon and here on YouTube. You all keep this channel going, and you can do the same from just £1 a month. And no matter what tier you subscribe to, you'll all get the same perks. Just think of it as a way to support me however much you want to. Links to that will be down in the description for the Patreon, or just hit the join button below this video to become a YouTube member. And if you want to watch more Retro Renew, then I think that you would like this one on screen now. See you over there.